Greetings. Good morning. Today is Tuesday. Happy Tuesday, you all. So we just had a Pisces New Moon a day or so ago. And this energy is really amazing because we are in the process of closing out old chapters in our lives and moving our energy. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Chameleon. Good morning, Lindsay. How y'all doing? I miss y'all. I do. And in an interesting way, I'm not a big misser. Like, missing is not something that I actually spend a lot of time doing. And that's been a fascinating experience in my life. I think just because I've experienced so much loss, like early on, death has been a early childhood experience that I've become acquainted with. So missing is not something that I do often. But I am aware that I was here every day for a significant amount of time, and I missed that practice. So today I wanted to just come in and talk a little bit about the astrology. I feel warm and cozy. I feel good. It's been cool here in Los Angeles in an interesting way that I actually am going to go outside. Yeah, it's been cool here in LA, and I've been having to adjust because I'm not used to cold weather. I lived back east when I was in college, when I went to Howard, and I also went to Lincoln University, and I lived back east. And when I lived there, I used to think, why do people live here? It's cold. Why do people come and live in these places? Like, don't y'all know there's a place called California that's warm and sunny most of the time? And so so this year, whatever's going on with this weather has been a doozy for me. I went to go buy a coat. I actually bought a coat because I didn't have one. So the Pisces New Moon, we just had the Pisces New Moon, and this energy is the most significant of all the energy. Oh, earthquakes. Right, we do have earthquakes. That is so funny because you know what? They don't bother me. If I had to choose earthquakes or cold weather, I think my choice is clear because I've chosen the earthquakes. Is that why you laughed? That is so. I understand. Earthquakes are fascinating because whenever we have one, I'm like, oh shit, the earth is moving. Like it feels like paranormal. It feels like something is happening that is like God or divine. And every time it happens, I'm like, fuck, that was amazing. Like, it blows my mind. And I understand that it's also, what it is. But yeah, earthquakes or cold weather. Earthquakes for me. Anyway, so this Pisces energy, the first thing I want to invite you guys to do is join my community, Follow the Sun. I would love to have you guys there. The Follow the Sun community is about following the sun. And what does that mean? Being able to use the energy of the sun to update your own light codes wherever the sun is. And the sun is now in Pisces, and I'm a Pisces rising. The rising sign is the dominant energy that really owns you, that you are in service to, right? So I am in service to Neptune and Jupiter because Jupiter is the traditional user. So this Neptunian energy is the higher consciousness. It's the part of ourselves that we don't often recognize because we live in a world that's very distracting, honestly, because we're in the dark ages. Like, we are currently in the dark ages. What the Vedic community, the Kali Yuga, right? So it's obvious that we're in the dark ages. You can see it. We have all classism, sexism, racism, all of that stuff is dark ages energy. And, what we're here to do right now on the planet is evolve ourselves individually out of the dark ages through through ascension. And the ascension process is it's an internal thing. It's not something that's happening external. It happens inside of you. And I have been going through this process for probably the last 3 years. It has been a very profound experience of shedding old belief systems that I received in the conditioning of being here in this country, right? So belief systems around religion, belief systems around romance, belief systems around economics and government, and who I am as a woman and who I am as a person in a black body. All of these systems have been indoctrinated. And so as we do the work to ascend through ourselves, we have to meet ourselves with where those systems live inside of us. Hi there. Hi, Heaven's World. Yeah, so we get to individually ascend and outgrow the old patterns and old ways of being. And it is a process. And my experience has been, this has been the most profound thing I've ever done in my life. And what I've had to do in the last few years is heal my relationship to what I believe about myself. So I had to look at what my father taught me about what it meant to be a woman, and what my mother showed me about what it meant to be a woman, and redefine those things based upon my own beliefs and terms. I also had to look at the world and what the world says about women, and what religion says about women, and what religion says about women, what the government says. I had to redefine all of that. So, for example, as a woman, I was taught that I had to, be obedient to men. I was taught that subconsciously. I was taught that through what I watched and what I witnessed. I was taught that through believing that women were weaker than men. So the teaching wasn't like a direct thing. The teaching was a subconscious thing. And that's what Pisces rules. It rules the subconscious. And so the subconscious is where we come to reprogram ourselves. So while the sun is in Pisces, you want to be doing the practices and the rituals and the practices and the rituals and the processes to reprogram your subconscious. You have one time a year to do it in this way. Now, there are other ways that we can do it, but this is the easiest way, by following the sun. The sun is going to tell you where the energy is that you have available to yourself right now. As a child, I was taught to express yourself. Yes, we all were. I don't want to say we all were, because that's not true, but many of us were. So now, while the sun is in Pisces, I'm doing the work to reprogram my subconscious around everything, because what I was taught about money, what I was taught about love and romance, what I was taught about my ability to contribute to the world, and the subconscious is running you, whether you know it or like it or not. Like I said, it is the greatest power that we have. And most of us are completely unaware of it. And so what happens is you might decide that you are, maybe you're in a love relationship and you see a pattern show up in the relationship, and you're not able to change the pattern in the relationship. So the relationship ends. And then you're not in a relationship for a while, but then you get in another relationship maybe 2 years later, and that pattern shows back up. Why? Because it wasn't about the person that you were with. It was about your own subconscious understanding. And what we need to know, especially as women, that we project the subconscious. We are what we believe, what we feel, what we aspire, what the stories we're telling ourselves are a subconscious, and we project them into the reality. So for instance, I used to have a story about my father that he was an asshole, that he was a bully, that he was a monster because he was violent with my mother. Now because I judged my father as a monster, because I judged him that way, every man that came into my life played out an experience of my father with me. That's all they could do, because I created a subconscious code that men were violent or destructive. Now, was that true? Are all men violent and destructive? No. Was my father violent? That was the judgment that I had of him. And one time when I was about maybe 10 or 11 years old, my mother had been having this fight, and he had beat the shit out of her. And she was black and blue in the bed with a potato on her eye. And my father was downstairs washing his car, and I was outside talking to him, and he said to me, I have to do it. She needs me to beat her. And I was so enraged by that comment that I held him in prison in that belief system. And what that did was, because the physical world reality is the masculine, the inner world reality is the feminine. So what I believed about my father created my experience here in the 3D reality. So every man that I encountered somehow played out that experience in my life. Both of your parents were getting their needs right. And so I had to really understand that the judgment that I had cast of my father kept me trapped in the pattern, kept me trapped in the karma. And though I didn't engage with men who were violent towards me physically like my mother and father were, but I engaged with men who were subconsciously violent with me, because I was violent with them. I was the generator of it, because women generate the reality. Now, the hard thing to get is that the world does not tell us that we're generating the reality, but the proof is in nature. Every human being comes from a woman's womb. They don't come from anywhere else. They are our creations. Every man on this planet is born out of a woman's body, runs the blood of the woman through him. And whatever a woman has going on when she is pregnant, whatever she believes about herself, about the world, about men, whatever she believes is going to be seated in the consciousness of that man. So my grandmother seated in my father that men are not safe on the planet. Why? Because my grandmother was born in the South. My grandmother was, born in Louisiana, and she had witnessed men being killed and boys being killed because of their race. So she did not feel safe parenting a black son. So that got seeded in him, and how it looked in him was he was a warrior. He was angry with the feminine. And so what he attracted was a woman who actually played that out with him, and they were playing out their own internal battles in front of me, and I made him wrong for it. And because I made him wrong for it, that karma then became my karma. So then I went and experienced that out in the world, because women create the subconscious reality, and the subconscious is everything. The subconscious is the subtle power that generates everything. And the subconscious generates the physical. So what's going on as above is the subconscious, and as below is the physical. And so when we understand this, then we can begin to do the work to transform. I'm sorry, I'm getting a little chilly. We can begin to do the work to transform from within ourselves what we believe. We can look at the patterns of our mothers and our grandmothers and our great grandmothers, and we can see. And if those people are not alive, all you have to do is look at when they were born. Look at the experiences that were going on with other people. It might not be as direct, but you are holding memory of it no matter what. It's in your memory basis. And so we're playing that stuff out until we catch it. So this Pisces new moon, I'm a Pisces rising. And if you are a Pisces rising, I see somebody here who is a Pisces rising. If you are a Pisces rising, or you have Pisces in you, you are projecting the reality. What you think and feel from within yourself has to materialize in the external world. So everything you're experiencing is your creation. This is such a hard fucking thing for us to get, because we've been told the contrary. We've been told something entirely different, but that's not true. It is what it is. The feminine is executing the external reality. The feminine is the creator of the external. You believe it or not, it doesn't matter. It's what it is. And I just have lived long enough to see it, I've lived long enough to be so entangled in karmic trauma patterns and curious enough to begin to do the work to bring it back and see it in a new way, to go like, what the fuck is this happening? And to take responsibility. The minute you begin to take responsibility for it, the minute you're like, you understand. And what I had to realize was that this is a creative universe and I am responsible for everything in my life. That was a heartbreaking thing. That was heartbreaking for me. When I realized I'm responsible for everything, I'm responsible for the man that cheated on me. I'm responsible for the man that slapped the shit out of me. I'm responsible for the girls that gossip about me. I'm responsible for it all. Why? Because they are only reflecting to me mirrors of who I am, aspects of my own fractured self. No one else is responsible. So with that, I decided that, okay, if I'm responsible, what am I going to do? If I'm responsible, what is it that I'm going to do? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start cleaning up my mind so that I'm not making other people he said this, she did that, they did this. And who am I going to go to at the beginning of this? My parents. I'm going to go to my stories about my parents and begin to clean that up, because that's where the beginning of it is. And so once I realized that I was judging my father for his relationship with my mother and that I was incorrect about that, I started doing the work to forgive myself. I forgive myself for judging my father as violent. I forgive myself for judging my father as an abuser. I forgive myself for judging my father as a tyrant. Why? Because he was doing exactly what my mother wanted him to do. They were in an agreement. She may have been saying she didn't want it, but no matter what she said, she was in it. So some part of her wanted it. And here's the thing that's really hard. It's really hard for women to admit that they are creators in these abusive relationships. I have been in one physically abusive relationship. And all I can tell you, the truth is that I egged it on. Maybe I didn't egg it. And I'm not saying that a man is not responsible for lifting his hand. But what I know is that men are subject to us. So women have more spiritual power over men than men have physical power over women. That's the motherfucking truth. And if nobody's willing to say it out loud, every woman who is in a physically abusive relationship, she is generating that from within her. I know that is a horrible thing to say. I get it. I know, but it is absolutely the truth. And until we can tell ourselves the truth about the need in us, to the places that we are at war within ourselves, the places that we are at war, against ourselves, and understand how reality works, that reality can only mirror to you who and where you are with yourself. So if you're in a relationship with an abuser, it's because you are abusing yourself. You are abusing yourself some way. And this is the universe's way of telling you, you hate yourself. You don't love yourself. You are denying yourself. You are neglecting yourself. And it is a horrible thing to have to really give yourself. But once you do it, it's freeing. Like you literally, when I started giving myself permission to feel that stuff, I was like, there's a part of me that likes the darkness, that likes the terror, that there's a part of me, and it's the ego, my conscious mind doesn't like it, but the depths of it it's the patterning, it's the karma, It's the, spending 400 years in terror with white people. There's something, you have to understand that everything in this universe serves you in some way. So if you can love the darkest parts of yourself, if you can deeply accept the darkest parts of yourself, then you can access the true power that is within you. As long as you're resisting and saying, no, not me, and that ain't mine, and I didn't, and I can't, and they ain't, and I'm not, then you don't have access to your full power. I'd rather be a single parent than to risk my children witnessing an unhealthy relationship. Well, let me just say this. Rather have a relationship with yourself that's healthy. Because if you have a healthy relationship with yourself, then you won't have a unhealthy relationship with anybody else. The only reason you have unhealthy relationships with others is because they are mirroring your relationship to yourself. So you can be single and still be fucked up with yourself, and your children are going to get that because your children are going to read your frequency and your energy. So you can't hide the fuck from who you are. I'm just saying it. Like, whoever you are is who you are. It doesn't matter if you're with somebody or without. Your children aren't reading what they physically see. Your children are reading the energetic frequencies of which you're emitting. So if you hate yourself by yourself, your children read that too. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? But you have to understand, like you said, your darkness is beautiful, sex and strong. So that's right. So really understanding that it's important for you to fully accept yourself. And when you can do that, that's where the power is. So anyway, this new moon in Pisces is really the opportunity for us to reprogram our subconscious. Reprogram your subconscious. So I invite you guys to follow the sun. You can join my full moon group where we do the rituals around where the sun is every month. It's a $44 a month invitation to invest in yourself. And every day I am there giving the rituals and the practices to do the work to recode ourselves according to where the sun is. And it's a powerful, powerful experience. So I love you guys very much. Thank you for being here. I love that anyway, that's it. It's this process. What we're doing on the planet right now is really powerful, and it's something that we did not anticipate. And I want you guys to know that I've officially changed my name to Moon Mama. I haven't changed it here on Instagram yet, but I am the Moon Mama, and I love you guys very much. And you can follow the sun in my profile link and Linktree, and just click and follow the sun, and everything is there. And Follow the Sun is a community designed to cultivate those of us who are tapping into our magic and our intuition and a new way of being on the planet. Those who are ready to live from the ascended place. That's what it's like to me. It's like my version of a modern day church where we literally are learning to worship ourselves, where we're learning to hold ourselves in the light and be all that we can be. And we're doing it together. We're healing, we're discovering, and we're practicing together. So I invite you to join and be a part of that experience. Peace and blessings. I love you guys so much. Bye-bye. Oh, I love how nice you guys are to one another. This is so great. Heaven. I started a fast 2 days ago, and I'm throwing out old stuff. That's right. Yes, it's time to reprogram everything. Absolutely. All right, y'all. Peace and blessings. My darkness is beautiful. Okay, I'm just reading the messages because once I close this, the comments will be gone. If I'm enabling bad behavior, then it can only be perpetuated because women. That's right. Women set the tone. We create it all. I'd rather be okay. Great. All right, y'all. Peace and blessings. Bye bye.